Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Thursday, November 3rd, 2022. Today I'm going to recap Game 4 of the World Series and preview and predict how Game 5 will play out. We have NBA and NHL to discuss, as well as college football. We'll look ahead to tonight's games in NHL sports, as well as Thursday Night Football between, ironically enough, Philadelphia and Houston. We have NFL Power Rankings. We have golf. We have to talk about Survivor, news and notes, and best bet. Let's start with the World Series. It was a historic Game 4, to say the least, as the Astros take Game 4 by a score of 5-0, but they throw a combined no-hitter. How we like that? As the Astros tie the series at 2 apiece. Christian Javier the win, Aaron Nola the loss. All the runs came in the 5th inning. It began with a hit by pitch as Yordan Alvarez was hit, and then Alex Bregman 2-run double, sac fly, Kyle Tucker, and Yuli Gurriel ribby single. So contributing to the no-hitter, Christian Javier 6 innings, no hits, no runs, 2 walks, 9 strikeouts. Brian Abreu 1 inning, 3 strikeouts. Rafael Montero 1 inning, 1 strikeout, and Ryan Presley 1 inning, a walk, and a strikeout. Meanwhile, Aaron Nola 4 innings, 7 hits, 3 runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Jose Alvarado came in and did not do the job. He blew up. He was due for a bad game, but it came at a bad time. But the Phillies have an opportunity to erase the bad memories tonight in the last home game, 8:03 on Fox. Joe Davis, John Smoltz on the call, Justin Verlander, Noah Syndergaard. That looks like a mismatch on paper, but anything can happen in October, as we all know. And Verlander has a rocky World Series history, to say the least, throughout his Hall of Fame career. The Stros are minus 158. The Phillies are plus 134. Over under 7.5. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Astros minus 1.5 is plus 112. Phillies plus 1.5 is minus 134. So for my play for this game, I'm going to go first half result. Astros minus 115. That to me is very easy. I think Verlander will pitch well. I don't think we'll see Syndergaard for that long, and then they'll go to like Bailey Falter or somebody like that. But the Phillies have won games with mediocre or worse starting pitching throughout the postseason so far. And I understand anything can happen in October, but a safe pick here, I think, is Astros first half result at minus 115. And I think ultimately Houston wins the game to go up 3-2. All right, now I'll move on to the NBA. We'll recap yesterday's window from last night and look ahead to tonight's 2 games. Wizards over the 76ers, 121-111. Washington's 4-4, Phillies 4-5. Kristaps Porzingis 30 points. Tyrese Maxey at 32. No Joel Embiid in that game. Cavs over the Celtics, 114-103 in overtime. Cavs 6-1, Boston 4-3. Darius Garland 29 points and 12 assists. Jaylen Brown had 30 to lead Boston. Hawks over the Knicks, 112-99 as the Hawks come back from 23 down in the second quarter to win. Hawks are 5-3. Knicks are 3-4. DeJounte Murray was the best player on the court. That was probably the best game I've ever seen him play. 36 points and 9 assists, and Jalen Brunson had 20 and 5 assists to lead New York. Heat over the Kings, 110-107. Heat 4-5. Sacramento 2-5. Tyler Herro, 26 points, 12 boards, and Domantas Sabonis had 22 points, 12 boards, and 8 assists. Bulls over the Hornets, 106-88. The Bulls are 5-4. Charlotte's 3-5. Javonte Green, 17 points to lead the Bulls. Kelly Oubre had 24 for Charlotte. Clippers over the Rockets, 109-101. Clippers 4-4. Houston 1-8. Alperen Sengun, 26 points and 13 boards. Paul George, 28 points and 5 assists. Bucks over the Pistons, 116-91. The Bucks are 7-0. Detroit's 2-7. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 32 points, 12 boards, and 4 assists. And Sadiq Bey had 22 for the Pistons. Raptors over the Spurs, 143-100. I regret not making this best bet because my best bet lost. This was my favorite NBA play last night. Should have went with it. Toronto's 5-3, San Antonio's 5-3. So San Antonio looked every bit as the team as we thought they were going to be before the season. Tank. Gary Trent Jr. 24 points, and Kieta beats Diop had 17. Mavs over the Jazz, 103-100. Mavs 4-3, Jazz 6-3. Luka Doncic 33 points, 11 assists, and Jordan Clarkson had 22 and 8 assists. Grizzlies over the Trailblazers, 111-106. This was a close game at the end on ESPN. Memphis 5-3, Portland 5-2. Desmond Bane 29 points, and Fernie Simons had 31 and 8 assists. Lakers over the Pelicans, 120-117 in overtime. Lakers 2-5, New Orleans 4-3. Lonnie Walker led the Lakers in scoring with 28 points. Zion had 27 for New Orleans. Only 2 games tonight in the association. 7 o'clock, you have the Warriors at the Magic. I'm surprised that one game is at 7, the other's at 8. It should be 7 and 9:30 doubleheader on NBA TV. But it's not. So Golden State is a 9-point favorite. Total 227. My projection is 14.5 and 227 and 3/4. I'm laying it with Golden State. This is a bounce back spot for them at Orlando, who has been disappointing to start the year outside of Paolo Banchero. So I'm going to lay it a 9 with Golden State against Orlando. And then 8 o'clock at NBA TV, you have the Nuggets and the Thunder. The Nuggets are giving 6.5 total to 29, and it's 13.5 and 227 and 920. It says my projection. So I'm going to lay the 6.5 with Denver. And by the way, my Warriors Magic numbers is 14.5 and 227 and 17/20. So I'm going to lay it with both favorites tonight. All right, the NHL. We'll recap the games from yesterday and look ahead to a busy day today. Leafs over the Flyers 5-2. Toronto improves to 5-4-2 with 12 points. Philly drops 5-3-2 with 12 points. The number 3 star of the game with this isn't loading for some reason. The stars of the game. Here we go. 2 assists. Morgan Riley, number 2 star of the game with a goal and assist. Austin Matthews, number 1 star of the game with a hat trick and an assist. John Tavares. And the Sabres defeat the Penguins 6-3. Buffalo, 4 points back of Boston. 7-3-0 with 14 points. The Sabres aren't the same old Sabres as of right now. And they've won their 3rd straight game. And Pittsburgh drops to 4-5-2, 10 points. And losers of 6 straight. Gotta wonder about Mike Sullivan. Like, would it stun you if there's a move made in Pittsburgh after 6 losses in a row? Kind of feel like it might happen. I don't know if it's going to be Sullivan fired or a change to his staff. But part of me thinks something's going to happen there within the next few days. I could be wrong. 7 o'clock, you have the Capitals at the Red Wings. The Caps are -120. Detroit's even money over under 6.5. Overs -120. There's -122. Caps -1.5 is +198. Red Wings +1.5 is -250. I like the over in this game. Golden Knights Senators. Vegas -142. Sens +116 over under 6.5 -10 each way. Vegas -1.5 is +168. Sens +1.5 is -210. I'm not willing to touch Vegas here. This feels like that Devils-Avs game where the Avs are a smaller favorite than expected, and the Devils were a smaller dog than expected, and the Devils turned out to win that game. Instead, I'm going to go with the over. Hurricanes Lightning. Bolts -122. Canes +102 over under 6.5. Overs +110. Unders -134. Canes +1.5 is -260. Lightning -1.5 is +205. I like Carolina as a dog here. I really do. +102. 7:30 Bruins Rangers from the Garden. Rangers minus 125. Boston plus 104 over under 6 minus 10 each way. Boston plus 1.5 is minus 250. Rangers minus 1.5 is plus 198. I think both teams are going to show up for this game. Boston's due, and they're a dog. They're a dog against Pittsburgh too. Or was that a pick'em? I don't remember if that was a pick'em or Pittsburgh was like a very slight home favorite. I think Pittsburgh was a slight home favorite. The Rangers are a larger favorite here than Pittsburgh was on Tuesday night. This feels like a game that the Rangers are going to win. I'm not going to go Rangers in regulation. I'm not going to lay it with them either. Let's go with the under. I think Igor Shesterkin's going to have a big game. 8 o'clock, Kraken Wild. Minnesota minus 176. Kraken plus 146. Over under 6.5. Minus 10 each fight. Kraken plus 1.5 is minus 176. Wild minus 1.5 is plus 142. I like how Seattle's playing, but I think Minnesota's just better. So give me Minnesota in regulation at minus 113. Islanders Blues. Blues minus 120. Islanders even money over under 6. Overs minus 106. Unders minus 114. Isles plus 1.5 is minus 260. Blues minus 1.5 is plus 205. I like the under. This is really a Sorokin bet. Islanders and unders have been money. Canadians Jets. Jets minus 220. Habs plus 180. Over under 6. Overs minus 114. Unders minus 106. Canadians plus 1.5 is minus 142. Jets minus 1.5 is plus 116. Part of me wants to take Montreal as a dog. As a big dog to win outright. Instead, I'm going to go with the under. 8:30 Kings Blackhawks. Kings minus 184. Blackhawks plus 152. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 112. Unders minus 138. Kings minus 1.5 is plus 144. Blackhawks plus 1.5 is minus 78. This is going to be the dog that wins outright. I like Chicago at home plus 152. 9 o'clock Preds Flames. Flames minus 200, Preds plus 164, over under 6.5, overs minus 120, unders minus 120, Preds plus 1.5 is minus 160, Flames minus 1.5 is plus 130. The Flames need to get their act together. And I think that they're going to come out at home and look good. So I'm going to go first period result, Calgary Flames plus 130. Devils Oilers. This is a big one for New Jersey. Oilers minus 160. Devils plus 132. Over under 7. Overs plus 112. Unders minus 138. Devils plus 1.5 is minus 176. Oilers minus 1.5 is plus 142. Proven spot for New Jersey. I think Edmonton's better. And I'm going to do the same pick. Edmonton first period result plus 140. I mean the same pick as the game I picked earlier. Stars, Coyotes. Stars minus 235. Coyotes plus 190. Over under 6. Minus 110 each way. Stars minus 1.5 is plus 108. Coyotes plus 1.5 is minus 132. I like the under in this game, but I don't feel good about it. Ducks, Canucks. Talk about a must-win spot for Vancouver. They're minus 178. The Ducks are plus 146. Over under 6.5. Overs plus 104, and there's minus 128. Ducks plus 1.5 is minus 168. Canucks minus 1.5 is plus 136. I'm going with the over. Ducks and overs are an automatic. And in 10:30 is the Panthers and the Sharks. Panthers minus 220. Sharks plus 180. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 108. And there's minus 114. Panthers minus 1.5 is plus 116. Sharks plus 1.5 is minus 142. I'm going to go with the over in this one too. All right, now I'll move on to college football. We will go over the results from last night and look ahead to tonight's two games. Central Michigan over Northern Illinois, 35-22. Central 3-6, and Northern is 2-7. So Northern Illinois no longer in contention for a bowl. And Bowling Green over Western Michigan, 13-9. Best bet was completely off. That was a mistake. I wanted to potentially go with the Raptors, but I spooked off because of the Spurs overachieving earlier in the year, but I went with the stupid over instead. Bowling Green's 5-4. Western is 3-6. So Bowling Green is 1 win away from bowl eligibility. 2 games tonight. 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. You have UTEP and Rice. So some Conference USA action for you. Rice is a 3.5-point favorite. Total is 47.5. This is another over. I absolutely love. Both these teams, I think, are capable of scoring a lot of points and giving up a lot of points. So give me the over in this game in terms of a straight-up winner, UTEP. I throw UTEP in an underdog moneyline parlay. And the better of the 2 games is on ESPN tonight. Appalachian State and Coastal Carolina. Really good Sun Belt game. App State's a 3-point road favorite. Total 63.5. Give me Coastal all day, every day. Coastal's the better team. And they're getting points at home. Like, come on. Appalachian State isn't the same team that nearly upset Carolina earlier in the year. So give me Coastal Carolina plus the 3 and plus 128 to win the game on the field. All right, now I'll move on to Thursday Night Football. And ironically enough, it's between the Eagles and the Texans. So we have 2 big Philly-Houston games tonight. And this is obviously the lesser of the 2. I mean, it's big for Philadelphia because then the Eagles can stay undefeated. 8:15 on Prime Video. It's Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit on the call. The Eagles are a whopping 14-point favorite. Total's 45.5. I project 17 and 41 and 3/4. I don't think there's any big injuries in this game. I'm going to take the under. I have an over 3.5-point edge on the under. I think that the Eagles will take this game very easily. I don't think they're going to go full out in this game. I think that the second half is going to be a lot of running the ball. Wouldn't be stunned to see Gardner Minshew in the game in middle of the 4th quarter. So I'm going to go with the under in this game. And I would lay it with the Eagles too if I were to choose an against the spread pick. But do that for a same game parlay. So the podcast pick will be the under 45.5. Alrighty. Now I'll move on to golf. We have an early leaderboard for the OHL Classic. With a big lead right now of 5 under, David Lingmerth. In second with 2 under, Grayson Sieg, Davis Riley, Austin Cook, Charlie Hoffman, Joel Dahman, Patrick Rogers, Cam Young, and Francesco Molinari. Tied for 10th with 1 under, Aaron Rice, Scott Piercy, James Hahn, Robert Strub, Seamus Power, Emiliano Grillo, Victor Hull, and Scotty Scheffler. Tied for 18th at even, Doug In, Kevin Tway, David Lipsky, JT Potson, Colin Morikawa, Chad Ramey, Martin Laird, Grayson Higo, Tyler Duncan, Pat Gazier, Mark Hubbard, Ryan Henley, Callum Tarrant, Bayo Hostler, Justin Sue, Brian Davis, Dylan Fratelli, Michael Kim, Brent Grant, Eric Cole, Audrey Arnas, and Colin Morikawa. Tied for 40th with 1 under. Now I'm going to just go through notables. Kevin Strillman, Jason Duffner, Richie Wierenski, Alex Baddeley, Keith Mitchell, Chungson Pong, Kyung Lee, and Zach Blair. Tied for 49th with 2 over, Ben Martin and Byung Honan, and 51st with 3 over is Cam Champ. So that's your early leaderboard for the OHL Classic. All right, now we'll move on to my NFL Power Rankings for the week. No particular theme of this one. Next week's going to be the best win, worst loss theme. But now we're just going to do a little chat on every team and some thoughts. So I'm going to go from 32-1 as I do each and every week, almost. Number 32 of the Houston Texans. Obviously, probably the worst team in the league. 5-1 on the season. They play tonight against the Eagles. Their fans, let's face it, they care about the Astros right now. They don't care about the Texans. And they just lost at home to Malik Willis and the Tennessee Titans. Number 31 is the Detroit Lions. They are 1-6 on the season. All right, so the Lions coming off the loss against the Dolphins and coming up a home game against the Packers, a game that they can conceivably win. Number 30 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They are 2-6 on the season, coming off the humiliating loss against the Eagles. Coming up for them is a much-needed bye to get right a little bit here. Number 29 is the Chicago Bears. They are 3-5 on the season, coming off the loss against Dallas. Coming up for them, a home game against the Dolphins. Number 28 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are 2-6 on the year, coming off the loss in London against the Broncos. Coming up for them, home game against the Raiders. Number 27 is the Las Vegas Raiders, coming off the shutout loss in New Orleans. They're 2-5 on the year, and they're playing at Jacksonville this week. Boy, they've been a big disappointment. 26 is the Indianapolis Colts. They are 3-4-1 on the season, coming off the home loss against Taylor Heineke and the Commanders. Coming up for them, they play the Patriots in New England. Number 25 is the Carolina Panthers. They're 3-5 on the year, coming off that really bad loss in Atlanta against the Falcons. Coming up for them, they are at the Bengals. Number 24 is the Denver Broncos. They are 3-5 on the year, coming off the win in London over the Jaguars, although they traded away Bradley Chubb, so they're worse. Coming up for Denver, they have a game. Oh, no, they have a bye. I don't know who Denver has after their bye, but they need the bye too. There's some interesting teams on bye this week. Number 23 is the New Orleans Saints. They're 3-5 on the year, coming off the big home shutout win over the Raiders. And the Saints do not have a bye. Coming up for New Orleans, they are hosting the Ravens on Monday Night Football. That's actually not a bad game. 22 is the Arizona Cardinals. They are also 3-5 on the year, coming off the loss against the Vikings. Coming up for them, they are home for the Seahawks. Number 21 is the Cleveland Browns. They are 3-5 on the year, coming off the big-time home win on Monday Night Football against the Bengals. And coming up for Cleveland is a much-needed bye. So the Browns are out of the bottom 10. So the bottom 10 is Texans, Lions, Steelers, Bears, Jags, Raiders, Colts, Panthers, Broncos, Saints. And the Saints and Cardinals, the difference between those two teams is that the Cardinals beat the Saints head-to-head. So that's why the Cards are ahead of them. Number 20 is the Green Bay Packers. They're 3-5 on the year. Very disappointing year so far for them. Coming off the loss against the Bills, coming up for them. At Detroit, tricky game. 19, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. These next couple teams I have all paired up together for a reason. Bucs are also 3-5, coming off a loss. They lost against the Ravens on Thursday Night Football at home. Coming up for them, they are hosting the Rams, who are my number 18 team. They're 3-4. They are coming off a humiliating home loss against the 49ers, and they are at the Bucs next. that feels like a loser leaves town match for two preseason perceived contenders. So obviously Rams, Bucks, Packers have to be paired together. Number 17 is the Atlanta Falcons. They are 4-4 on the season. The first place Atlanta Falcons, coming off the big win over the Panthers. Probably should have lost that game. Next up for Atlanta, they are hosting the Chargers. Interesting game there. Number 16 is the Washington Commanders. They are also 4-4 on the season, coming off a big win at Indy. The best last place team in football by a mile. I shouldn't say that because there's a last place team ahead of them in the rankings here, but if not I should say the best last place team by a mile in the NFC. We'll put it that way. All right, coming up for the Commanders, another winnable game. They are playing the Vikings at home. Number 15 is the New York Football Jets. They're 5-3 on the year. They're 15th because of the two big injuries, and they just lost at home against the Pats. Come out for them, home Bills. 14, the New England Patriots coming off the big win over the Jets after a terrible loss at home against the Bears. Probably the worst loss any team's had all year in a primetime game. Coming up for New England, they host the Colts with a great chance to get above 500. Number 13 is the Los Angeles Chargers. They are 4-3 on the year, coming off a bye, a much-needed bye, and they're at Atlanta coming up. Number 12 is the Tennessee Titans. They are, amazingly enough, 5-2 on the season, coming up for Tennessee. They are at the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Let's see if their quarterback comes back. Number 11 is the Cincinnati Bengals. They're 4-4 on the year, coming off that terrible Monday night loss against the Browns, coming up for them, but the potential get-right spot at home against the Panthers. Number 10 is the New York Football Giants. They're 6-2 on the year. They drop all the way to 10 because they did not make a move at the trade deadline, unlike some other teams I have ahead of them. Coming off the loss against Seattle, coming up for them is a much-needed bye before hosting Houston. Number 9 is the Seattle Seahawks. They are 5-3 on the year, first place in the NFC West. And they're not even the top team in their own division in my power rankings because they did not make a move at the trade deadline. Coming up for Seattle, they are at Arizona. Number 8 is the Baltimore Ravens. They are 5-3 on the year, coming off the Thursday night win over the Bucks in Tampa, and coming up for them, they are at New Orleans on Monday night. So how often do you see a Thursday night and a Monday night, a week and a half off? So they kind of have a bye in a way. It feels like a double bye for the Ravens in a way, with playing Thursday and Monday back to back. Number 7 is the Miami Dolphins. Yes, the Miami Dolphins are number 7 on this list. They're 5-3 on the season, coming off a win at the Lions. Coming up for Miami, they're at the Bears. Possible trap game. And they go out and add Bradley Chubb. That's why they make the top 7. Number 6, the San Francisco 49ers, coming off the big win over the Rams. Coming up for them is a bye. Good bye week for them to get right a little bit. Number 5 is the Dallas Cowboys, coming off the big win over the Bears. They're sitting pretty at 6-2. And by the way, the 49ers are 4-4. It's so weird to have a 4-4 team in 6, but that's how I feel about the 49ers right now after the trade deadline and their performance against the Rams. Cowboys get a bye too. Number 4 is the Minnesota Vikings. They are 6-1 on the season, coming off the win over Arizona. Coming up for them, they're at the Commanders. Kirk Cousins back in D.C. I think this is his first time back in D.C. after signing in Minnesota. He's going to get booed in that game by the Commanders fans. Number 3 is the Kansas City Chiefs. They are they're 5-2, the Chiefs. And they're coming off a bye. Coming up for them, a Sunday night home game against the Titans. Number 2 is the Buffalo Bills. They are 6-1 on the season. They last week won a game against the Packers on Sunday Night Football, coming up for them at the Jets. And number 1, of course, is the Philadelphia Eagles. They're 7-0. And with the chance to go 8-0 on the year tonight at the Texans as they humiliated the Steelers last week. So there you have it for the power rankings for the week. Now we'll move on to Survivor from last night. It was an interesting episode, to say the least. So the merge tribe is called Gala. So in the beginning of the show, somebody found a slip saying that they had to go into pairs for the challenge, and they each drew rocks to determine who is whose partner, as the pairs raced through a twisted rope tunnel that was like a cylinder, and dug up puzzle planks and a flag and returned to the mat. And the first 4 pairs to finish moved on, while the last 2 were eliminated, and the remaining teams raced up a cargo net with their puzzle planks and used them to cross a bridge and race to the mat. And the first 2 teams to finish moved on, while the last 2 teams were eliminated. In the final section, the last 4 people competed for individual immunity, holding onto a rope handle attached to a bucket containing 25% of their body weight as of the beginning of the game. And if the rope came apart, the bucket would break a tile and that person would be eliminated, and the last person standing won immunity. And the player that won immunity was Gabler. So good on Gabler for winning immunity. Like I said, he reminds me so much of Jonathan. He's going to win individual immunity a lot. And whenever he loses, people are going to try to eliminate him. That's what happened to Jonathan last season, but it took a while for Jonathan to get eliminated. And I remember some of the pairings. Cassidy was with Carla. They worked well together, I thought. Sammy was with Noelle. Noelle had a hard time in that challenge, and the good thing was that her tribe mates really showed support for her, which I thought was heartwarming. And while Gabler was doing the individual immunity part of the challenge, he gave Noelle a shout out for being an inspiration, which I thought was very nice of Gabler after he threw Ellie under the bus last week, which led to her being eliminated off the show. So Gabler wins individual immunity, and they eventually go to tribal. So the person that was eliminated, the 7th person voted out of Survivor 43, was Dwight. I'm not surprised that Dwight was sent home. I thought that he messed up a little bit in the challenge. As did James, I felt, but James survived. In terms of who voted for who, the votes were 7-3-2 Dwight. So the following people voted Dwight: Cassidy, Cody, James, Jesse, Carla, Ryan, and Sammy. Gabler, Janine, and Owen voted Ryan, and Noelle and Dwight voted James. So, Dwight was the overwhelming person that they felt was rightful of getting sent home. So it's going to be an interesting show next week, to say the least. Now we move on to news and notes for today. We'll start with basketball. Obviously the Nets have been a disaster, and it's probably been kind of taken over the New York sports storylines and given the Yankees a little bit of a break, even though we'll get into them in a second. And I think they're overshadowing the Knicks losing 3 straight. And honestly, they're overshadowing the football teams right now, too. So the Nets are the big story in New York for all the wrong reasons. But Kyrie Irving and the Nets organization gave $500,000 each to organizations that work to eliminate hate after Kyrie's posts promoting the anti-Semitic film. That's probably the right thing to do, but this story's going to keep going and going and going, and Kyrie's still gonna get a lot of shit taken for his actions, and rightfully so. So we'll see how that all plays out here. Bill Self suspended 4 games, and assistant Curtis Townsend, including the November 15th game against Duke at the Garden in the Champions Classic. So that's news for the reigning champs of college basketball. College basketball actually starts on Monday, so I think Sunday I'm going to do the big college basketball preview show. So keep an eye out for that. So that's not great news for Kansas. So the U.S. men's national teams booked some January friendlies. Serbia and Colombia in California, the first games after the World Cup. So that's some interesting news. So the Major League Soccer announced their team of the year, featuring MVP Ani Mukhtar and goalie Andre Blake of the Union. So Mukhtar, obviously, of Nashville, and then Andre Blake. Those are 2 rightful players to be featured on the MLS Best. So also on this team, Jesus Ferreira of FC Dallas, that's his first selection. Brandon Vasquez, his first selection from FC Cincinnati. LAFC forward Carlos Vela, who I think is the best forward in Major League Soccer. Luciano Acosta of FC Cincinnati. Sebastian Giroussi of Austin FC. Daniel Gazdag of the Philadelphia Union. Mukhtar, we talked about. Jacob Glensis of the Philadelphia Union. He's obviously was belonging on this list because he was the Defender of the Year. Kai Wagner of the Philadelphia Union, of course. Walker Zimmerman of Nashville FC. That's a good selection there. That's his 4th selection. And then Andre Blake, who we talked about. So that's a loaded team. The MLS best team of the season. Penn's head coach Mike Sullivan yelled at Sabres fans last night as he got into it with someone in the Buffalo crowd after their 6-3 defeat. Yikes. Like I said when in the hockey segment, I wonder if there's going to be a move made in Pittsburgh. Like, it wouldn't stun me, to say the least. Dan and Tanya Snyder are exploring a sale as they hired Bank of America Securities to consider the potential transactions of the team. They're taking steps in the right direction to do what is honestly best for the organization. I think that this is going to get that fan base pretty excited, honestly, because I think Snyder's the worst owner in sports now that Robert Sarver is gone. And Snyder was always worse than Sarver, in my opinion. They both have a lot in common. They both have their wrongdoings. But Snyder's just flat out the worst. So Bradley Chubb signs a 5-year, $119 million extension that includes a $63 million guaranteed. So the Dolphins double down on Bradley Chubb, which is really awesome and the right thing after giving up a premium price to get Chubb. The Rams want Cam Akers back as they turned down multiple trade offers, and they're working with his agent in hopes he'll return. We'll see. And then there are feds investigating the Commanders as the U.S. Attorney's Office is investigating allegations the team engaged in financial improprieties. Oof. Cordell Patterson to practice as they open the 21-day window. We'll see if he's back this week for them or not. And Jonathan Taylor tweaks his ankle as he didn't practice, as the Colts will weigh on his process as the week continues. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. So there's some interesting things on the board, but there's a team and a trend that I need to keep going on, and that is overs in the Anaheim Ducks games. So I'm going to lay a half unit on over 6.5 at plus 104 between the Ducks and the Canucks for my best bet of the day. So there you have it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow for a big Friday show with every sport imaginable. The MLS Cup, which is amazing. And then obviously news and notes and best bet. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.